Okay. I'm going to answer those quiz questions on tissues. So, quiz number 1. Describe the process of tissue engineering and why is that important? So, tissue engineering is important because it helps the organ repair basically. And tissue engineering is all about creating functional human organs from cells in a lab, in an artificial setting, and that tries to be a cure by repairing or replacing tissues and organs that are failing in the body. And there are a couple of factors to be considered, like they need the right cells to do the job, and they need the right environment, like a scaffold to support the cells, and they also need the right biomolecules such as growth factors to make the cells healthy enough. And they may have to put some physical and mechanical forces to make it work, and that helps a lot with the organ repair, and that creates models for researchers to study various disease like cancer or heart disease that is really complicated. Okay, so quiz number 2, list and describe the 4 major types of tissues, including their characteristics and function and where they can be found in the body. So first, there is the epithelial tissues that covers the surface of the body and lines some hollow organs and body cavity, and they can be found in the skin or stomach tissues, like a lining of the GI tract. And second, there is a connective tissues that holds organs in place, and they protect and support body, and sometimes they can be solid and strong, like a bone. They can be found in bone and ligaments and tendons, or sometimes those can be very fluid and flexible, like they can be found in blood, lymph. And third, there is some muscular tissues that generate physical force and some movement, and they can be found in any muscles like biceps, triceps, stuff. And lastly, there is a nervous tissues that helps control and coordinate the body movement by responding with nerve impulses, and they can be found in brain or spinal cord or any nerve in the body. Okay, so quiz number 3, explain some specific types of tissues that belongs to each major group of tissues. So the first epithelial tissues they are classified according to the number of cell layers formed, like a simple or stratified, and they also can be classified according to the shape of cells, and they can be squamous, like a flattened and thin, and they could be cuboidal, like a box, sort of boxy shape, and they can be also columnar, like a rectangular, upstanding rectangular. And in terms of connective tissues, they include some loose connective tissues or dense connective tissues, and there are some other specialized tissues like capillary and blood and lymph. So they are all different kind of connective tissues. And there are also muscular tissues, include skeletal muscles that moves bones and the other muscles. And then there are also cardiac muscles that contract the heart to pump blood. And there are also smooth muscles that forms organs like a stomach and bladder. So we cannot really move them by on our will, but they control and forms the organs like those stomach thingy. And lastly, there are, nervous tissues. So they include the neurons and neuroglia. Neuroglia, and neurons is just to generate nerve impulses, and this neuroglia is just a kind of supporting cells. And number 4, imagine you're a doctor and are given the tissue samples, and your colleague hypothesizes that the sample is connective tissue, and explain what you would look for to determine if the sample is indeed a connective tissue. So it might be really hard to tell because the connective tissue comes in vast variety of forms. And so I would look for but there are a couple of components that is really necessary. So they need the cells and ground substance and some protein fibers. So from the look of that, the connective tissue has thicker or little dense fibers with maybe compared to epithelial tissues, they have fewer cells, and they're less dense. They have a little space in between. So they are kind of dispersed from the look of that. So that would be how I just determine that it's really connective tissues.